So, we're now on the 6th song of this album.
Yes.
And this is where it starts getting weird. It's not that there aren't commercial-friendly songs to come.
Sure.
But they're very few.
Yes.
And like the structure of a horror film, like the beginning is like setting you up. You get to know the people. You know, you get to know them as human beings. And then at the end of Act 1, something weird happens, and that's Hideaway Folk Family.
Gotcha.
And 32 Footsteps is beginning the weirdness, right? And it comes back with Angel, but then it goes into the Descent of Hell and ends with the Rhythm Section 1 ad because everybody has died. That's my horror movie structure theory of the first They Might Be Giants album.
I like it.
So if you don't want to do a musical, we could do a horror film.
There you go. Just
to the music of They Might Be Giants.
Right. We already went through Hideaway Folk Family, but that song is pretty lyrical and melodic.
But to follow it up with 32 Footsteps,
Yep.
and then Toddler Highway after that, and then Rabid Child after that, like there is a run here of weird songs.
Short, weird stuff.
I am eager to dive into this. Why don't you introduce the episode?
Welcome back. It's time to go inside the birdhouse with Lewis and Sean. I'm Sean.
I'm Lewis.
This is a retrospective of the music of They Might Be Giants at a track-by-track basis. Today we're up to track 6 of the original self-titled album, 32 Footsteps.
32 Footsteps. Before we decided to do it, I may have listened to this song 3 times in my life.
Sure.
And only because I happened to be listening to this album. Like I didn't seek this particular song out. Though I didn't seek Hideaway Folk Family out either, and I ended up loving it more than I had anticipated. Where to start? I'm going to throw a few things at you, and you being the elder statesman of the They Might Be Giants universe that we live in here. Part of me was thinking it's someone with OCD. Part of me was thinking it was somebody on the spectrum. Part of me was thinking conspiracy theorist who's trying to find the significance of the number 32. What is your initial take?
Maybe it's a little bit more literal, but I always took it as someone trying to figure out what went wrong in their relationship.
This goes back to Everything Right is Wrong.
Right.
I kind of feel it has that resonance because you're right. It's like 32 footsteps. There were 32 footsteps.
Yeah.
This person walking away.
Right. These are the things I find interesting about this song. First, you say 32 footsteps. Now, 32 footsteps is a measurement of length, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's not an exact measurement of length.
Yes.
Because one person's 32 footsteps is different than another person's 32 footsteps. Unless you're talking about actual stairs, then the 32 footsteps are exactly the same for anybody. This couple is in an apartment and it's 32 footsteps down the stairs away from their apartment.
32 footsteps leading to the room where the paint doesn't want to dry. I get that. Then 32 footsteps running down the road where the dirt reaches the sky, meaning 32 footsteps from the point, the bottom of the stairs, say, to the horizon.
Right. Which again, those 32 footsteps, this is the length I've got to go to try to find the person. You go then into 32 feathers in my brand new Indian headdress and 32 new moons shining in 32 skies. So now we've got away from this 32 steps. Now we're talking about a style, fashion style. You have this image of this guy wearing this Native American headdress. And then he uses it to express an amount of time. 32 new moons is essentially about 3 years. So that's either the amount of time that they were together or the amount of time it's been since she left.
What's the reason? Why'd she go? Where's my baby? I don't know. I think is unequivocal.
Right. Now, if we're going with the relationship, it's those parts that are like, okay, if you take it literally, then you go to, okay, well, he's talking about someone who left him.
The first verse ends with 32 footsteps, counted them myself, 32 footsteps.
Yeah.
So when I mention somebody on the spectrum or somebody who's obsessed with numbers or finding significance in numbers, 32 footsteps counted to myself, 32 footsteps.
Right.
Means a lot.
Yeah.
Now, either it means a lot because 32 means a lot to him, or this is such a traumatic event that the only thing that really resonates with him is that there were 32 footsteps.
Right. Talking about somebody on the spectrum. And what do you think about it more of someone who's got an agoraphobic tendency, that the reason why she left him is because he would never leave the apartment. And it was 32 footsteps. That was the farthest he could go.
Oh, yeah, because it doesn't say 32 footsteps to the horizon.
Right.
It says 32 footsteps running down the road where the dirt reaches the sky.
Yeah.
32 footsteps just to get to the road itself.
Right.
That's the road that leads to the sky.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like the agoraphobia idea.
And that was the reason why she left, was because he would never go outside. She just couldn't deal with his issues anymore.
Okay, so a lot of that is illuminated for me, except, and again, the brand new Indian headdress. I mean, I can even accept that he's just somebody who's into stuff.
Maybe that's
cultural,
that's part of his thing, is like he collects stuff like that.
Recently I've been reading various translations and historical context for the Epic of Gilgamesh, and I was like talking to Claire and going, oh my God, isn't this fascinating? And she looked at me and went, you are a nerd. She thought it was interesting too. There are nerdish tendencies in Claire as well.
Sure.
But let's look at that first line now in the context of everything we talked about.
Right.
32 footsteps leading to the room where the paint doesn't want to dry.
He's kind of assessing the entire relationship, and that was moving into the new apartment because there was fresh paint. Climbed the 32 steps to get to the apartment. There was 32 footsteps leading down the road.
I see. So the 32 footsteps leading to the room where the paint doesn't want to dry is up the stairs to the apartment.
Right.
32 footsteps running down the road where the dirt reaches the sky. This is like 3 years later.
Right.
She leaves.
Yeah.
32 feathers in my brand new Indian headdress. He's still in the apartment.
Right.
32
and then talking about the three years.
I mean, I would like to believe that this is what it means.
As they want to say, if that's what you believe it's about, then that's what it's about.
And then why'd she go? Where's my baby? I don't know. And then
32 footsteps. I counted to myself. 32 footsteps. That's how far I had to go, and I couldn't get any farther away, and she was gone.
This is heartbreaking, as is
most of their songs.
Many of their songs are heartbreaking because it's all about loneliness and being able to deal with the world and deal with people. Okay.
Then
this next section.
I fear that this section is just gibberish for gibberish sake.
But why? Why have an entire... This is a very long section of gibberish.
It is.
Bing, bang, bing along, sing, sang, sing along, ding, ding, ding along, day.
Yep.
Fing, fing, fing along, ging, gang, ging along, hing, hang.
Hing along, hey.
Jing, jing, jing along, king, king, king along, ling, ling, ling along, lay. Ming, ming, ming along, ning, ning, ning along, ping, ping, ping along, ping. Now, it's moving alphabetically.
Without the vowels, from B to P.
But why from B to P?
B is the second letter. P is the 16th letter. 2 times 16 is 32.
I love how we're using numerology to break down They Might Be Giant songs.
If you want my honest opinion, it's just them going, this would be funny as hell to do it like this.
They might have considered that because, I mean, how long to make that section?
Right.
Well,
right.
They made it as long as they needed to do that. Maybe they thought of that.
It's possible. You can think of it in terms of the way we're interpreting it, is this is like the mantra he would say to himself when he needs to calm himself down.
Right, because he's on the spectrum.
Right.
And also, I mean, there were two of them. So if you multiplied 60 by 2.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We're basically dissecting They Might Be Giant songs the way that conspiracy theorists.
Sure. We're going to later on in this podcast, we're both going to have the red strings tied on the wall. It's all here, man. It's like the goddamn Mayan calendar. It's telling us the end of the world. I was listening to Apollo 18. And you know the fingertip song, an amalgamation of a bunch of tiny little tracks. I started to feel like the first time it almost tracks the life of a person from birth to death. We'll get into it when we get to that, but it was interesting. I haven't fully formed it, but it was an interesting thought because it starts and ends with talking about fingertips, but in different ways. And the first one is sort of more upbeat, like a baby finding its fingertips. And the last one is very solemn, almost like someone who's passing away, finding their seeing their fingertips.
Now that you mention that, I kind of feel like, again, not every song has to have a narrative.
Sure.
But I do feel like every single They Might Be Giant song that we've covered so far, we've been able to track some kind of narrative. Even if the narrative is obscured or oblique, most songs should have some kind of narrative. And also, like, just on a side note, my daughter and my wife were singing the soundtrack to K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm going to say those songs probably do not embrace a narrative.
They just... I don't know enough about it to have an opinion about it.
Everything I know about it is my daughter singing the songs in the morning before she goes to summer camp. But it does make me think about people who write songs. Sure, a song is not necessarily a narrative requisite medium, but every song has a movement from beginning to end. You start the song and you end somewhere, right? Now, it could just be poppy, but if you look at like Jay Giles' band Centerfold,
right?
There's a narrative there, right?
There's a song. yeah, absolutely. There's a story. They Might Be Giants. I found a dime once. They'll sing about things like that, and it doesn't have to mean anything more than that. It's just that, but there's still a narrative involved.
I wonder if there is any kind of art of songwriting that doesn't lay its structure upon some kind of narrative. And I'm hard pressed to find an example. Even the most banal pop songs, even if they describe a moment, that moment has a context. Simply by the description of the moment, there's a context of the before and the after. And I guess I'm trying to now apply that to sort of an analysis of They Might Be Giants, where I'm like, sometimes seems so narratively driven. And then like Boat of Car.
Boat of Car.
Thank you.
Boat of Car.
Boat of Car. Is there an narrative to that? Or is it an exploration of sounds and words together, right? Like Laurie Anderson in Superman and things like that. Is there a narrative? Maybe. Is it a collage of sounds and ideas? Absolutely.
Definitely.
And again, I only mention Laurie Anderson because I am sure that They Might Be Giants are fans of Laurie Anderson. There can't be a world in which they don't listen to her stuff and go, oh, this is really hip. 32 Footsteps challenges that to a certain extent.
100%. Like this one is definitely not a real presentational thing. This one seems like word salad. They thought of the word 32 and started, just went from there.
And yet we're looking at it now and we're seeing a clear narrative, even in the gobbledygook.
Right.
We're seeing some kind of progression, even if it's the gibberish that this guy is uttering. So I guess we can get back to the actual.
Sure. After the ridiculous bridge, it goes back into what's the reason? Why'd she go? Where's my baby? I don't know. 32 footsteps. God knows how 32 footsteps. And then we go into this verse, which makes even less sense than the first verse.
Exactly. It's like it gets stranger and stranger. Part of me is feeling like, oh my God, this person is unraveling.
Right.
Let's go 32 lies my ears never saw. when the floorboards gave way. And I'm assuming the floorboards giving way is not necessarily like they fell through, but it's like anytime you walk across floorboards,
They creak.
there are creaks and stuff like that.
The sound of her leaving the apartment.
Or just them living in that.
Or just, sure,
right?
sure.
32 Lies, my ears never saw, first of all. Ears never saw.
Right.
My ears a hearing instrument, saw a visual action.
Yes, exactly.
But when the floorboards gave way, meaning like for 3 years, if we're going back to this idea that this relationship is going on for 3 years, they have been talking, and he hasn't realized that there have been lies happening. Now, again, whether they're actual lies or whether he had a certain way of looking at things and she had a certain way of looking at things, and when she left, he considered them lies.
Right. Or you're talking about someone who never heard the lies because he didn't want to hear the lies. Or even if they weren't necessarily lies, he didn't understand that this was not the first time she had told him there's a problem.
He's like going, listen, we really need to work this out. And he's like, no, what are you talking about? We don't need to work it out. The next line, 32 walls come tumbling down and the night turns the day. I can only imagine that's the night she left.
Right.
He's sitting there in his room. The walls are tumbling down. And before he knows it, the sun's up. I mean, could you read that another way?
Not from this perspective that I'm looking at it. That's how I read it, that it's the metaphorical walls come tumbling down.
Now, the next 2 lines, though, start unhinging themselves from this clean little narrative.
Well, okay, so 32 infantrymen running in place. Again, we could use that from the collector.
He has a lot of like army men,
little pieces that he's got lined up specifically.
Oh, and then the boxcars. He's a train fanatic.
Yeah.
He collects Indian headdresses and army men.
The whole thing is about a guy who's got a crazy ass little train in his house, and his girlfriend can't deal with it anymore.
He's wonderful. He's very sweet. He's good to me. And after 3 years, she's just like, okay, even I can't deal
with this guy. Before I came up with this whole concept of him being stuck inside, I got it that the relationship broke him down so much that he became an inveterate gambler, and he was throwing dice and rolling boxcars all the time.
I think it's more literal than that.
No, I like your interpretation a lot more. The girlfriend who left this guy because he just was like this crazy insular introvert agoraphobe that collected all these things, and she finally just left, and it's a 32 footsteps that led down the road.
I can imagine he loves her. I can imagine that he's very genuinely, and again, if your theory is right and that 32 new moons means they were together for 3 years, there was a lot to love about him. But like, I hate using the term mental illness because many people in my family probably can be diagnosed.
We all have mental illness.
So maybe it's not illness, maybe it's just conditions, right? But you know, where you are on kind of the mental spectrum, I do feel like he does have emotions and he does love her. And that's why we get, you know, like he's holding himself until the morning.
Right.
That he's counting all the things he has.
That's all he's got left are these.
And he's seeing her face in the boxcars of the model train.
Yeah.
Running by him because he has to run that train because that's how he deals with the world. If we think about this as somebody who has a mental condition, They Might Be Giants is really kind of opening up or pulling back the veil of understanding someone who can have relationships, but also succumbs to this. And I'm thinking of like John Linnell, who, again, as we've mentioned in previous podcasts, probably would be happy in a basement writing songs.
Right. Well, and we've talked about, I know when a couple of weeks ago when Anna was on, she was talking about, neuroatypical people being drawn to They Might Be Giants for specific reasons. And I think it's because a lot of their songs spell out the world from the neurotypical perspective.
I have to admit that I think my continued obsession now with They Might Be Giants might be indicative of a certain
Sure.
neural atypicality.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, it's like you embrace it. Like, I mean, I have a great life.
Right.
I'm fine,
Yeah.
So I definitely want to celebrate that impulse, and so do they.
I don't know if they're either one of them or both of them or any kind of. I'm sure they have their issues. Everybody does. There's always a mental issue when you have artistry.
I mean, Emily Dickinson.
Yeah, it
let's-
just
let's- let's- let's-
right.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned the whole Epic of Gilgamesh thing, right? Like, I started listening to a bunch of lectures by this curator at the British Museum named Irving Finkel, and he's funny as hell. Like, you should totally look up his lectures on YouTube because they're all over the place. But what I'm realizing and what he mentioned is that, like, okay, we're getting all this writing, but who's writing it is definitely a big indication of the material, right? So on a lot of these clay cuneiform tablets, there's a lot of just like logging purchases and business transactions and inventories and all this other stuff, like thousands and thousands and thousands of clay tablets. But then you have these tablets, poetic expression of these now probably old oral traditions of Gilgamesh and everything. And then finally someone kind of writes it down. Of course, they're adding all their flourishes.
Sure.
And we know they're flourishes because later on, the same story shows up in all these other writings that are discovered much, much later outside of the Sumerian tradition, frighteningly similar to Gilgamesh, including Noah in the Bible, the flood. That is all kind of Sumerian kind of mulch, right? So like 1,000 years before Noah was supposed to have
right
existed, there's this description of a flood. But what he says is, okay, this, though, should not be an indication of the mentality of an entire ancient culture. This is one poet who is writing and learned cuneiform and wrote this story in there. And somehow what he wrote resonates so deeply with us 4,000 years later. It's the idea that there is such a thing as a poet and someone who's extremely emotional and someone who's extremely scared of death. And that's basically what Gilgamesh is about. It's about fearing dying, right? Because he is this triumphant king. He's not a great king. He terrorizes his people, but he's afraid to die. And he eventually gets to a point where he tries to find immortality. And the end of Gilgamesh is, sorry.
Yeah, there is no
immortality. I know that was a long-winded explanation to get to what I actually mean, which is there's something about They Might Be Giants that really embraces this idea of mortality and raw emotion that I never realized before. Like, oh my God, they're getting down to a core level of humanity. And that's what Gilgamesh does, and I feel like that's what They Might Be Giants are doing. And if I ever talk to the two gods, I'm going to tell them that.
Absolutely should. You still, we've always talked about how their songs are about deep, intense sometimes, but it's masked in this weird poppy, upbeat, sometimes weird, like this song is Flansburgh playing harmonica and Linnell playing keyboards and accordion. Like, that's the music of this song. Anyway, just to finish up, so we go
What's
to
the reason why'd you leave? Don't you know we're on the eve? So this is different than the previous chorus. 32 footsteps? Counted them myself. 32 footsteps.
Right.
Tell me what you think.
Well, it's interesting. He says, what's the reason? Why'd you leave? Don't you know we're on the eve of 32 footsteps? What is the eve of 32 footsteps? Is he remembering the day before it happened? What was the event?
Yeah, what is the 32 footsteps that is the catalyst for this whole song?
Right.
Is it the 32 footsteps of her leaving? Is it the 32 footsteps of them entering the apartment?
Was it the start of the relationship, the end of the relationship?
Don't you know we're on the eve of 32 Footsteps. Also, it could be the anniversary.
Oh,
Maybe it's their
interesting. This
third anniversary
of her
It's
leaving.
like,
Yeah.
or not
It-
her
the-
leaving, but maybe their relationship.
Oh,
Like maybe
I
she
got I got
left the night before, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is the eve
of the 32 of the
of the 32
moviness.
Footsteps."
Yeah.
There's this sadness. Don't you know we're on the eve of 32 Footsteps, and then breaks.
Counting
to myself, 32 Footsteps.
Yep.
Meaning he's still
Always talks
obsessed.
about counting he had to count them himself, that there were 32 footsteps.
Now let's talk about the ending,
Yeah.
because the ending is so beautiful.
So I read that apparently this was an improv when they were recording. Linnell did this. It wasn't written, he just did it. And I think it's so beautiful that he counts 28, 29, 30, 31. He couldn't take the 32 steps to stop her.
It is that last step that ends everything, and he can't move through it. He can never move through in the entire 32 footsteps.
He's saying 28, and then you've got Flansburgh in the background yelling no.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like, don't do it, dude. Don't come there.
Yeah.
Don't relive this. And maybe he did actually take that 32 foot, or maybe Flansburgh saved him. Flansburgh was like, no. And he saved Linnell from taking the 32nd footstep.
Yeah. Oh,
My God, dude.
so good.
I'm going to listen to all these songs in an entirely different way every single time because we've gone through this.
Yeah. Now when we go back and listen to these songs again, you're just going to be like, wow, never, like I said, again, I've started listening to this song 1,000 times, and I've always loved it. I loved it the first time I heard it. I thought it was so wacky and just like, who writes music like this? Like, who would, would, but I never thought, you get the why my baby leave me, I don't know, you're like, oh, you must talk about, but the whole breakdown of the 32, what do all these 32 footsteps, what do they all mean?
In a pop song saying, why'd my baby leave? It's a trope.
It is,
right?
sure.
Like you hear it in so many things. You become desensitized to it because you're like, oh yeah, why'd my baby leave? Like Otis Redding, oh my God, he's hurting so bad. Or Marvin Gaye or James Brown, or all these guys are saying, oh my God, my baby left me and then I'm hurting. But they're not doing that. They're not creating a sensation out of the pain. They're turning it into something obsessive.
Right.
And calculating, and they're getting into the mind of somebody
who would think that way. They have lots of breakup songs, but they're always told from a little bit skewed point of view.
So firmly rooted in the left.
Right.
The person left.
Yeah.
But it's not happening the way that we hope. It's not the person in a bar who's telling us, oh my God, my baby.
Yeah.
And I'm so sad.
No.
It's my baby left me, and there were 32 footsteps when we moved into this place, and she took 32 footsteps leaving, and there are 32 there are 32 headdresses, and there are 32 boxcars, and there are 32. You sort of lose the love affair within the obsession with this number. This morning in preparation for this episode, I put on the first album while I was making breakfast for Claire and Anthea. And 32 footsteps happened, and I listened to it, but we kept listening. And I got pretty far. I think I got like 12 songs in before Anthea wanted to listen to K-pop Demon Hunter.
Sure.
And when she did, I was like, I am impressed. I'm impressed you let me
made it this
play
far.
They Might Be Giants' first album as far as you did. Because I started listening to it when I was making breakfast for them when they weren't in the room. And then they entered the room, and it didn't turn off. And we got through, actually, now that I really want to know, we heard Hotel Detective, we heard She's an Angel, Youth Coaching Killed My Dog, Boat of Car, Absolutely Bill's Mood. Oh, we didn't hit Chesapeake's Face.
Okay.
So it must have been Absolutely Bill's Mood.
That finally. Well, that had to do it. That song's pretty rough.
Well, right before that is Boat of Cars.
Sure.
So
But Boat
it's
of
not like
Cars
you
got
set
that.
them up.
The cool thing about Boat of Car, though, is it's got the cool Johnny Cash Daddy Saying bass.
Yeah.
This song's like, what the hell?
It's all good. Is there any sort of button about this particular song? I feel like we've hit it.
So looking through the interpretations, a lot of references to the death chamber, like the people being executed. There being 32 steps from your cell to the. I never heard that before.
There's not always.
Yeah, I know that didn't. Make
Even
it,
if this guy, the singer of the song, knows that illusion, he might be equating it with his own life.
somebody who says this is the Hideaway Folk Family from the murderer's perspective.
Some autistic murderer.
Well, this is my favorite because I don't know why you would even choose to put this in the interpretations list. This song has no meaning. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think this song means nothing. Not a note. Zip, zilch. I think Mr. Linnell strung together some interesting ideas with no underlying narrative. Christina Miller, May 2007.
I think she's wrong.
I agree.
When we look at these songs and we're coming up with this stuff, we're not reaching. Like, you and I aren't like planning this.
No.
Right? We're coming at these very fresh. And these are jumping out at us immediately. So I would disagree with her. What's her name?
Christina Miller is the.
I would disagree with Christina Miller.
I agree. I'm with you.
And here's the thing about songs, like, and you mentioned the improv earlier, right? When you put together a song, there could be some improv. There could be some fanciful kind of fun had, right? And in the editorial process, there were decisions made to get us to the song that we have. So absolutely, there could have been improv. There could have been wackiness and fun, but there was something in the fun that they go, that kind of means something to me. And then they made that part of the song.
Carved it down to where you've got the facts
Right.
of the song.
We've done that. I mean, in Jack Miranda, like we were playing BS all the time, and then we went, oh, that's kind of fun.
There's
now-
actual.
Now it's a guy who's in a bar, and there's this liberal freak who comes in the bar.
yeah.
Everybody thinks she's crazy, but this guy's like, that's the hottest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And that started with like a nonsense line. I'm going to play that song in the edit.
Yeah, sure. Get that stuff out there.
I entered this episode thinking I wouldn't know what to talk about. But it was very clear this morning when I revisited the song, some of the things I wanted to talk about. And then when we got on, as always,
Yeah.
suddenly everything clicked into place.
Yeah.
And if it's wrong, it's fine.
No, there's, like I said, I don't think there is a wrong. I firmly believe in the author is dead theory of art. That once the art is out there, it's the interpretation that matters, not what the artist had in mind.
But I think that the important thing then is for people to pursue art.
Sure.
Pursue the thing.
100%.
Because,
Yeah.
again, if the only thing you're consuming is reality television, then okay, great. If that's what you're drawing from, you're going to find meaning.
Yeah.
Obviously, you are.
Any final thoughts?
I like the song way more. And this happens a lot in a lot of the songs we've covered, but a lot of the songs we covered, I already liked going into.
Sure. This wasn't
Where this
one you
one,
never thought about it before.
I didn't have an opinion.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I liked it because it was They Might Be Giants.
But that was the end of it.
And especially when it's from the perspective of somebody who is on the spectrum.
Well, but it's interesting, like you were talking about how this is the part where the album starts to get weird. And it is, but they're also still talking about similar themes. They're just presenting it in different ways. They're not relying on specific songwriting tropes and things like that. They're doing it from a very specific perspective.
And again, that one guy, the alternative interpretation that you read, a Hideaway Folk Family from the perspective of the murderer.
Right.
I like the idea that at least you're thinking of like it's a different perspective.
Right.
Because I feel like that is sorely missing in a lot of pop songs.
Sure.
And here is They Might Be Giants going, okay, this person might be on the spectrum, and this is what he's experiencing. And his heartbreak isn't somehow less meaningful because he is on the spectrum.
Right.
That the heartbreak is still very real. And again, it's because as I get older, I'm realizing that I'm somewhere on the spectrum. I feel like I should have had these insights when I was like 19, when I was 15, when I was 10. If I had embraced They Might Be Giants earlier, maybe some of these things would have made more sense to me, or I needed to be 50. All right, dude. Well, listen, take us out.
And until next week, I think we'll probably do a twofer because we got a couple of short songs. I don't know that we can talk about Toddler Highway for an hour. Maybe. We'll see.
No, I think Toddler Highway and Rabid Child kind of
They go together pretty much. So next week we'll be tackling those two songs. But until then, I'm Sean.
I'm Lewis.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.